Man, when we say always watch the hands and the waist, today we get an incredible reminder of why that is so important. Hi everyone, welcome to today's badge cam lesson here at Active Self-Protection. I'm your host, John Correa.
I'm your co-host, Mike Williver. Today's video comes to us from scenic, and I forgot.
Lancaster, California.
That one.
Today's video is brought to us by Mantis. The Mantis family of products is integral to ASP staff building handgun and carbine skills and are your most economical and fastest path to improvement in your skills too. Whether you choose the X10, the Laser Academy, the Blackbeard, or use them all in concert, they will help your practice be more effective, efficient, and fun. Go check them out, pick up a unit, and thank them for sponsoring today's video. Deputies are responding here to an armed robbery call that they were looking for a suspect, and they have found a man who matches the description of that suspect, and so the deputy's gonna roll up and start to investigate. Badge cam audios, we have multiple angles, and a cell phone video by one of this perp's accomplices. Let's listen in.
Pockets. Put your hands on the hood.
I could call her.
No, stop reaching your pockets.
We're not doing it.
Stop.
We're not doing
Put your hands on the pocket.
I can call her right now.
Stop. Turn around.
She's calling me right now.
Come here.
Vanessa.
Stop.
Vanessa, the sheriff has the gun pointing
Hey,
at
Tim,
me,
let me take him.
and I'm trying to tell him that I was already calling you.
Turn around.
Your son was the one that was
Hey, 110, we're taking a 211 suspect at gunpoint. J12 just east, or correction, just west of Country West.
Talk to him, please.
Hey, turn around, fool.
I'm not doing it.
Turn around. Do not reach.
I haven't done nothing wrong. Sir.
Stop.
I'm not breaking the law.
Don't.
Look, talk to her, please. Talk to her.
I'm not doing nothing wrong. I'm not doing nothing wrong. I'm not resisting. Stop.
Please.
Give me your arm. Stop. Give me your arm. Stop. Give me your fucking arm.
I'm not doing nothing wrong. I'm not doing nothing wrong.
Get on the ground.
Please, I'm not doing nothing wrong.
Stop. Give me your fucking arm.
I'm not doing nothing wrong. I'm not doing nothing wrong.
Put your hands on your
I'm
back.
not doing nothing wrong. Please, I'm not doing nothing wrong. Stop. I helped her out. That's the
Stop.
master.
Put your
I
fucking
lived
hands on your
there.
back.
I'm a resident right there. I'm not doing nothing.
Put your fucking hands on your back.
You don't have to treat me like this. I'm not done nothing wrong, sir. Please.
Stop.
Please. Please. Please.
Stop.
Stop moving his arm, bro. Please.
His other arm.
I'm not doing nothing wrong.
His other arm.
Please.
You want to know for yourself?
Stop. Stop reaching. Stop fucking reaching. Hey, 417. 417. Hey, put your fucking hands. You're gonna get shot. 417.
Help me.
Taser.
Help me.
Put your Hey, turn again. You okay? What do you hit? Where? 998.
I copy 990. Is a suspect or deputy?
Put your fucking...
If you get any closer, you're gonna be detained and arrested. Do you understand?
I'm gonna call my uncle. He's a fucking. So call him. I will fucking call him. Hey, what the fuck?
Hey, you guys are beating him! They're beating him!
Stay back.
Stop fucking hitting me.
They're hitting him! You... Hey,
Hey!
hey!
Hey, back! Put your fucking hands. You're gonna get shot. You're gonna get tased.
Help me!
Taser.
Help me!
Put your fucking...
Get back! You guys leave! You guys.
You can see this picture of the perp's firearm. He got several shots off. One of them hit one of the deputies in the lower torso and like his abdomen. The perp, he took the roadside temperature challenge, did not make it through this one. I can't find in any of the news stories whether he actually was the guy who committed the armed robbery. I think he was. He did not make it, and the deputy that was shot is expected to make a full recovery. Of course, as always, we wish the deputy who was shot here a full and complete and rapid recovery. There's going to be no recovery for our perp here for, he kind of didn't make it. Mike, let's just start by talking about this conspicuous non-compliance that this guy has, where he's like, hey man, you're a subject in an armed robbery here. I think that you are matching my description. And the guy's like, oh, I'm going to call on my phone. And somebody else is like, oh, I'm going to talk to my uncle who knows, you guys or whatever. This is the kind of stuff that's got to set your alarm bells ringing.
I think you need to, as a responding officer or deputy, you need to ask yourself, is what this person doing sort of normal behavior? Are they responding to stimulus in a normal way? And the answer is no, they're not. Any normal person who wasn't trying to hide something, unless they had some sort of, mental issue going on, they're going to see a uniformed officer with a gun out, and they're going to listen very carefully and do whatever it is the officer's telling them to do. Now, I'm not saying this is a comply or die thing. That's not what I'm referencing at all. But if this is you and you see this guy, you're like, gun out. Hey, man, I think you're an armed robbery suspect. I need you to do what I'm telling you. And he's not, and being on the phone, that means he's buying time. And a lot of the time, what he's buying time for is to either ditch or pull a gun. Keep that in mind and keep your spidey senses tingling. Also, I want to say here, I know people are going to watch this and go, wow, these guys can't fight. Man, if you have ever actually tried to wrestle somebody who does not want to be taken into custody, it is way harder than most people give it credit for against an amped up opponent. And listen, go roll jujitsu a little while. You'll find out it's a lot harder to hold somebody down than you think it is. And watching UFC ain't it, Chief. And these deputies are doing a pretty good job of trying to get this guy into custody, but recognize he's got a gun in, I think, the appendix position, and he's going to get his hands down underneath it. And we're going to see this gun come out really rocket fast. And again, they didn't know he had it definitively until we see it here. And this freeze frame is literally every cop's worst nightmare. And this is specific to the mission of law enforcement, right? Because a private citizen, we're not going to get in these kinds of fights. We're not hunting guys down who are armed robbers and taking them into custody. So this is a police-specific problem. And you got to decide at this point, Mike, are you trying to get away from that muzzle, or are you diving in on it to get it to not point at you? But of course, the big thing here is to get that muzzle pointed away from you. Yeah, and to make that decision quickly, I think, is also another critical part of that. Stephanie Widener likes to say, once a thing is happening, the quicker you realize it's happening and then respond to it, the better. Understand he's got a gun. Okay. If you watch some of the video, the cell phone video, the bystander who's yelling at the backup deputy, you can see them punching him, doing all sorts of stuff, and it kind of looks a little brutal, if you don't realize what's actually happening under that scrum. The officer says 417, which is California Penal Code for concealed weapon. I think the word gun is better. It's better optics. Everyone knows what the word gun means, to include your partners and the general public. So if the general public hears you yell the word gun, that's going to give them a clue that this is probably a good time to get the skedaddle and get the heck out of Dodge. It's also going to look a little different when you're raining blows down on the guy because you're trying to get him to stop doing what he's doing. Just my 2 cents. I think the moment you realize there's a gun involved, kind of all bets are a little bit off at that point, and you should act accordingly.
Absolutely. You recognize you are in the fight for your life. A guy pulls a gun on you here. A person pulls a gun on a private citizen, they're usually using it as an intimidation tool, but they pull a gun on a cop, they're going to shoot you. That you absolutely have to be certain of. Our deputy here on this badge cam, he dives in and puts hands on the gun. And honestly, if you can get hands on the gun and you can close the distance, right? That's actually probably the best choice. Because again, if I can close the distance, that's the +1 of the 5Ds +1. Then it is deflect. You want to deflect the muzzle, dominate that gun, and dominate the hand with the gun. Then you want to distract him, usually with pain and with injury. Then disarm him rather, and finally disable him, keep him from hurting you any further. And that starts with closing the distance. So if you're at close enough distance to get your hands on that gun and move it, that's probably the right answer, but it sure takes big, giant balls, Mike.
I would add this to that, John. I think it's really important. I want to reiterate that once someone's pulled a gun, no matter, if you're close like this or not, you need to make a decision that it's time to act. And that means if someone's pulled a gun or a knife on you, all bets are off and all options are on the table. And that includes whatever's handy. eye gouging, knee to the face, whatever you can do to gain that pain compliance. Pain compliance is a real thing. Basically, it means that I'm going to apply pain to the suspect in such a way that he or she desires the pain to stop, and the pain stops when you do what I'm asking you to do. Therefore, I think all bets are off and all things are on the table at this point. And, you know, I want to reiterate what John said earlier. Look, trying to get someone into custody who doesn't want to go, especially an adult male or adult female for that matter, is a lot harder than it looks. So these guys are trying their best. It's not easy. I know because I've done it.
It's not easy. And when you see that gun, again, why did you kick him in the head 9 times? Because I didn't feel safe to get my gun out in the moment, and I needed him to stop threatening me with a firearm. He's justified. Any of these deputies are justified the second the gun comes out to shoot this guy dead. And therefore, again, that authorizes anything else. Chokes, kicks to the face, eye gouges, anything. So we see the punches from the cell phone video, and you sometimes think, well, wait a minute, was that required? Yeah, it was required. Because eventually this guy's going to get that gun back. And when you lose the fight for the handgun, when you lose the hand fight, he's going to get that gun. And thank God, it looks to me in this case that the muzzle wasn't pointed at the deputy. But man, we're talking about games of inches here, Mike.
I would add to that. Recently, not that recently, I guess, a while back, we did a video where officers ended up in a scrum, not unlike this, in the middle of a street after a foot pursuit. And the officer in that case did basically a contact shot to the bad guy to get him to stop doing what he's doing. And a lot of folks were upset about that, both in our comments and the comments on the original news story. This is why that was necessary. The officer, no officer should have to wait until he's actually shot at or shot to respond with deadly force. He had the green light to use deadly force the moment that guy had a hand on a firearm and was not complying. So I think, if it had been an option sooner to use a firearm against this guy, do a contact shot, shoot him in the ribs, whatever, I think it would have been justified. They didn't get to do that for whatever reason. Seems like maybe their hands were kind of tied up, trying to keep the gun pointed down, whatever the case may be. Deadly force had been authorized for quite a while. They didn't use it in time. Here we are now with this really, really unfavorable point of view from this freeze grab where John stopped the video.
I also want to say here that this looks to me, as we move it forward into later frames, that this shot probably fouled this firearm, that this firearm probably did not cycle correctly. So this is one of the things when you're grappling over a gun, you want to keep that muzzle pointed away from you, that if the perp fires the gun and it's all fouled up in clothes or in hands, then it fouls the gun, which gives you a better opportunity to get your gun out and in the fight. Next thing I want to really focus on here is you notice that the deputy at this point decides, I'm going to disengage and get my firearm in the fight and end it that way. Now, the question I want to have for every officer, every deputy, how fast do you want to get your gun out in this particular case? In this use case, how fast do you want to be? And do you want to spend a little bit of time to be a little bit faster? We're thinking about the fact that this guy has just shot at you and intends to kill you. How fast and accurate do you want to be? Now, deputy only has one hand on the gun. I totally get it. At this distance, I don't think that matters. But as Eleanor Roosevelt reminded us so many years ago, Mike, America is about hot, raw, nasty speed.
I don't think, never mind. That's a Ricky Bobby reference, isn't it? I love it. If you are a professional law enforcement officer in the year of our Lord 2025, in a uniform especially, you are carrying your gun in a big old bucket, usually Safariland, SLS or something like that, your draw stroke should be wicked fast. There's no excuse for it not to be. I think the one-handed thing here is forgivable because the entire time after that first shot, all the deputy's thinking is, I'm about to die. I'm about to get shot. I'm about to get shot. I'm about to get shot. That's going on a loop in his head. I got to do something now to get myself out of the situation. He probably had another hand down to brace himself to get up or whatever. This is just how fast it happens. And your draw stroke and your ability to get effective rounds on a target at a close distance like this needs to be so second nature that you don't have to think about it. I don't think he had to think about it too much. I got a little nervous as he was falling back that he was going to end up putting around through his own foot or whatever. It turns out that didn't happen, so that was good news. This is how fast it happens. And remember that cell phone video? The people watching this are just hearing rounds. They're just seeing two deputies shooting at this guy, and it just looks like they're just executing the guy. That wasn't what was happening at all. That's why we try to reserve judgment on this stuff until we see all the evidence.
I also want to note here, for officers in particular, we don't see private citizens in this kind of case very often, but I've seen more than a few police officers have to fire off their fifth point of contact, right? Off the booty hole here. And they got to still get after this guy. So officers in your range training, don't neglect this part. Don't neglect this. Hey, you're sitting down, you're leaned back. Don't shoot yourself in the feet. You got to adjust for your vest, for your belt. and it's uncomfortable and you don't want to get on the ground and get your crap all dirty, but you want to be capable. You don't want the first time that you experience this kind of shooting to be with your life on the line. I think the deputy did an incredible job here of not shooting himself and of continuing to get accurate fire on target. It's just a reminder that in this kind of training, this is the kind of training that you want to do to be able to save your life on the worst day of your life.
Yeah, concur. I'm going to add to that. If you're not getting down and dirty, and I mean like in gravel, on hot surfaces, all the things where you might, cold surfaces, if you work in Alaska, for example, you got to train like you fight. And that's kind of a cliche, but it's true. You've got to be doing at least once a year, doing shooting from unusual positions like this, positions of disadvantage, from on your back, between your legs, on your side, using a curb for cover, using a fire hydrant for cover. All these things are things you've got to do. And as John said, the critical part of that is as you fight. So you're not going to probably get into a shooting when you're wearing a t-shirt and jeans. It's probably going to be when you're on duty wearing all your gear. So that means if I lay on my back with my duty belt on, is my double cuff case going to be sticking into my right side so much that it hurts and that distracts me from shooting properly? I need to have gone through these things and the fundamentals as I'm going to be out in the field. Otherwise, you're doing yourself a huge disservice, and you're going to find out the hard way during a gunfight that, oh no, I can't lay on my right side because this or that's in the way. I don't want that to happen to you. So make sure you're training like this, real world situations in training before it comes out in the street like this.
Another real world training crossover here is that very close range, single-handed shooting technique. And we generally teach this at very close range, and you'll find this in things like the FBI pistol qualification. And I think it's very valuable because you need to be able to put accurate enough shots on fire and not endanger your partners, not endanger innocents. And notice that this guy here, he's got the gun out and pointed at you, but thankfully, again, that gun has fouled. And so it's not functional, and I don't think our perp knows that yet. But you need to be first. Remember, who wins gunfights? It's the first person to put an anatomically significant hit in the other guy. And that might require you, because of all these circumstances, to do so single-handed. And I want people to train primarily with two hands on the gun because I think that's a much better way. But in these kinds of close entanglements, and I know it looks like he's a few feet away, but remember the fisheye lens effect of the camera means this guy, they are right on top of each other. He is literally at his feet right now. So you need to be able to get that single-handed shot off. And I don't see a lot of offhand or support hand shooting, but dominant side shooting, that comes into play pretty regular. And so you got to get after that a good little bit. I also think here, Mike, what you talked about here with the bystander camera, this is the one that gets posted to the TikToks, and then everybody goes, oh, why was he punching him in the face? And this is terrible, and this is evil. And that's one of those things you go, hey, when you don't understand, why is he punching him in the face? Because the guy has pulled a gun on him. And so we got to get a little more information before we pass judgment about what's happening both ways.
Yeah, I want to add this, John. If you're out in the street in your local town, your city or whatever, and you see what appears to be an injustice being done on a member of the public by law enforcement, me and John, everyone asks, we want you to videotape that. We want that documented, and we want that taken care of. We want that addressed. I 100% mean that. There's your 100% for the day. However, being too close, getting in the way, that's a different story. Taunting and agitating, that's not helping anything. If you want to help out a person you think is being abused by law enforcement, take your phone out, videotape it from a safe distance, and don't get in the way, don't run your mouth and all that sort of thing, because that's just making things more confusing and more hectic for the situation. You're not helping, you're hindering at that point. So yeah, absolutely stay at a safe distance, videotape all you want. But understand that if you're in there taking that third deputy's attention by getting too close and doing whatever, he or she can't be effective in assisting the other two officers and getting the guy into custody a little bit faster. I've seen it 1,000 times. You're within your rights to videotape in a public place. Some officers get mad about that. They claim it's illegal or whatever. That's not true. You can videotape all you want. Just do it safely, please.
Just recognize how dangerous this is. Look, that's his homie sitting there, but his homie is about to be right in the backstop of gunfire. So if you feel the need to record, do so from a distance. Use your telephoto lens, for goodness sakes. I think it's a smarter choice not to just get out of the area. And I get how hard that'll be if you're like, man, these guys are beating the crap out of my homie, and I don't want him to get abused by the cops, and I want this on video. Chances are their badge cams are recording it. And if it gets bad news, again, yeah, I totally agree with Mike that you can record, but boy, are you putting yourself at risk. I think it's generally speaking poor risk management to do so. Now, thinking again through the third officer here, he's going to get his taser out and try to use it because they're trying to get this guy into custody, even though he has a gun on him. And I think that's pretty laudable. Here's where I say, though, he ends up with kind of the taser in his left hand, trying to get accurate fire on. Just a reminder, one of those things that I would just strongly recommend for everyone in your dry practice, in your firearms training, certainly firearms instructors in your curriculum, train your people to drop what's in their support hand. And yes, I get it. It's a taser. He doesn't want to drop that. I don't care. Your life is at risk. Drop that taser so that you can get 2 good hands on the gun, because having this taser in your hand instead actually makes this harder to shoot well than having just one hand on the gun.
Easiest drill, cheapest drill in the world to run on the range. Just have your student stand there, however you usually field interview stance away, a few feet away from the target. When the target faces, he or she, the deputy, the officer, has a blue taser, like a fake taser or whatever, in their hand, dominant hand, non-dominant hand. They have a pen and a sight book, or they have a flashlight, or they have whatever, and just repeatedly train that. Just empty your hands. I don't even want you to holster that taser in this situation. As John said, you've got moments, right, to win this gunfight. Screw the taser. We'll buy a new taser. It's not a big deal if it breaks. So I think that drilling over and over, literally opening your hands to release whatever's in them, let it fall free to the ground, and draw your gun and get to work.
I really think for a lot of officers, one of the most realistic ways, a blue taser. Also, just get a dummy notebook and a crappy pen that you don't care about anymore, and be like, hey man, I'm taking this report, or I'm writing some details down so I can go back and run stuff. And officers have their notebooks out all the time. So have that notebook in your hand and just practice dropping those things from both your support hand and your strong hand and getting your hands on the gun. I also want to address just a little bit here that after the shooting, they put a bunch of holes in this guy. They did get immediately to start offering aid to their partner. I think that was really smart. Somebody, though, needs to go over and get that gun away from that guy. And yes, you might have said, well, hey, his brains are all over the place. I still want somebody to verify that gun is not anywhere near him, okay? And I will say at the very end here, we have a picture of this gun, and yes, this is California. Yes, that is a personally manufactured firearm, and therefore it is what Californians will call a ghost gun because it's untraceable. It's perfectly legal to manufacture your own firearms, and I am for the right to keep and bear arms. And I think scumbags are going to get guns out of stolen out of vehicles, those things too. And so I don't have any problems with personally manufactured firearms like this. Though again, bad guys pick them up because they're cheap and they're easy for them, just like stolen guns. So the answer isn't to make them illegal, in my opinion, but just to recognize that bad guys are going to work around laws no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, this could be one of those scary ghost guns, John, that shoots the 30-round semi-fully automatic banana clips, 30 a minute or whatever. Anyway. With that said, these deputies came out to do a very dangerous job. They showed up there knowing this guy's probably going to be armed. This looks like our guy. Remember the conspicuous ignoring, the conspicuous not cooperating? That should set off a red light in the back of your head saying, okay, this could be a problem. Once the gun comes out, once you see that threat, understand all bets are off. There's no more Mr. Nice Guy. We're going to use whatever tools, whatever techniques at our disposal to get this guy into custody, up to including deadly force. At the end of the day, these deputies showed up to do a very dangerous job and cover their ass.